Hello, my name is Dana Gattikin. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Educator with Purdue Extension in Vigo County, and this is the Veterans in Agriculture Virtual Resource Fair. We'll be talking about funding, resources, and education programs specifically for veterans. We'll end our series with a panel of veterans who currently farm. So thank you for joining us.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Courtney Chapole, and I am the Regional Director for the West Central Indiana Small Business Development Center. So if you're not familiar with our office, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown to begin with. So first off, there's actually an office like ours that serves every county in the entire United States because we're a federally funded program. We're funded by the Small Business Administration. So they put out our grant to provide resource providers to help both startups and in-business individuals grow in whatever capacity that is. So here in Terre Haute, we are also hosted by Indiana State University. That just means that they help host our grant, they provide us support, but all of our programming, all of our resources and educational opportunities either come from the Small Business Administration or our statewide host, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. In our region, I've got the counties on the screen. So if you are in one of these counties, then our office would be your service provider. But if you're outside of those counties, we would be able to connect you to whoever it is that can help you in your county. And we always kind of tell in the beginning, we actually are not the government. We're funded by the federal government, but we are not. So we're a non-reporting agency. So everything is confidential. So a lot of times clients will come into me and there are times where they'll say, something that's probably not exactly what they're supposed to do with their taxes, and we help them decide how they really are supposed to do that. But we are confidential and we're not reporting by any means. So everything that is shared with one of our consultants is meant to be for just the best goodwill for your business, so we can help you decide what your next steps are. We are not the source of any type of grant, so any funding, we are really more of a connector. So we have somebody come into us and we play the matchmaker. We are able to help guide decisions because I think that the best part about using a consultant from our office, whether it be for finding funding or maybe you need help marketing a product or you need help with HR, the best thing is one, we're not your accountant, we're not your marketer. So we have the only stake that we have is your success. So we're able to look at your business at more of a 360 approach, a holistic approach, and provide good sound advice without being the person that's going to reap benefit. So if we're giving you accounting advice, we're giving you marketing advice, we're never going to see the benefit of that. You're not hiring us to do those things for you. So that the advice that we're giving you is genuine. And in our office alone, we last year saw 300 individual clients. So, and there's only 2 advisors here. So we see a lot of clients, which is really great because then we can see what's working and what's not working across many different industries and can take all of that to provide really good, innovative ideas to help your business grow. So we'll help connect you to loans or grants if they're available, but we're not necessarily, we're not going to be the ones that actually write you the check. And just as a reminder, this is how we're funded. I always talk about how we're funded because most people don't understand when we say our services are at absolutely no cost. And that might not seem like a lot if you haven't worked with us, but if you have worked with us, or hopefully you'll see if you decide to, we are not just information, come to us once, we answer your questions and go about your business journey. I have clients I have legitimately met with 56 times. Everything from startup to now you're in business and you're having issues retaining your employees to now it's COVID-19 and you don't know how to access, the payroll protection program. Once you get in with us, we are there to be that first phone call. We may not have the answer, of course. We may have to go and try and find the answer for you, but that's why it's so great to get in with our office, because whenever something like COVID-19 happens or you have a funding opportunity that you want to go after or a problem on your farm that you don't know how to solve, we're the ones that are connected within state government, connected within our local and county governments, and we play that role on your behalf to cut down that learning curve and the time it might take for you to get through that red tape. So this is where our local office is at Indiana State University. Obviously, our phone number is there. I'm sure Dana is going to send out this slide deck afterwards, so you'll have everything. And we are still taking one-on-one calls right now. We can schedule something through Zoom or phone if you're needing assistance at this point in time. So that's just a little bit about ISBDC. I kind of wanted to start off with that to begin with. Again, we offer all different types of services. It's small business development, but that's any business that is less than 500 employees. So that's pretty much 99% of Indiana can work with us. And literally there's no topic that's off the table. We do exporting, we do government contracting, social media, really whatever it is that you need, we're going to find a way for you to find that service for you. So specifically today, I know Dana wanted to hear about, some programs in the for veterans in the ag world. I pulled some stuff specifically from the Small Business Administration. Again, they're our funder, but not necessarily, I'm not employed by them, but we partner with them very closely. And a lot of times people are looking at how they fund their operation or their startup. So I don't know who on the call is not yet in business or is in business. So I'm just going to kind of cover it in a general view, and then we'll welcome any specific questions afterwards. So the SBA is known for the SBA loans. And I mean, that's a hot topic right now. And I don't know that I'm prepared to answer questions about that because it's everywhere, right? Of what's going on with EIDL and payroll protection. But in normal, everyday, non-COVID life, SBA does offer what's called 7A loans and 504 loans. What most people don't understand is that when people think they have an SBA loan, the SBA doesn't actually grant those funds. So if you're looking to buy equipment for your ag enterprise, or you need startup capital, whatever it is, you actually are getting that funding from a bank. So you work with your bank first. And if there's any part that your bank is a little bit nervous on with lending, and that could be a million different things. It's nothing against you as a business, just banks sometimes are tight with their purse strings. So if there's not enough collateral, or they're worried about credit score or something of that nature, they may want SBA backing. So SBA is kind of like your rich uncle that co-signs the loan for you. The money doesn't actually come from the SBA. So typically, when I advise clients, you don't go in if you're looking for funding and necessarily say, hey, I want an SBA loan, because if you can get it conventional, which means just straight from the bank, then typically that's just the best way to go. Because even though the SBA is providing backing, there are typically fees that are associated with closing the loan that if you don't need to have those, there's really no need to have those. That being said, with the COVID-19, the CARES Act, anybody that had an SBA loan, just automatically for 6 months, the SBA picked up the bill for those loans, so that they're actually making the principal and interest payment to the bank. So in that regard, it was actually really great if you had an SBA backed loan. But for the most part, those the 7A loans are there really just to help people access capital that wouldn't be able to, whether it be, again, because of the type of project or their past financial history. One of the things with veterans to keep in mind, typically, and it changes every year, and unfortunately on the SBA site, it did not have the most up-to-date fee structure for veterans, but I have that as a hyperlink there. It'll go directly to their page, so you can check that out. With the 7A loans, typically veterans have reduced fees, sometimes none on closing fees. So if that is the case, if you're going for funding and as a veteran you don't have to pay any of the closing fees, then you may want to ask for a 7A loan backed by the SBA. Only because if something ever did happen, if you're not out any closing fees, then they do come in and pay 80 to 75 cents on the dollar of what you owe to the bank. Doesn't mean you get to write that off. You then owe the federal government, but it at least is helpful for you to access that capital. And I don't have a slide on it, but just so you know, 7A loans, they can cover everything from purchasing your commercial building, your land, working capital, working capital that covers employees, inventory, things like that. There's also something called a 504 loan, and that is something that sometimes is more advantageous even if you don't need the backing of the SBA, because a 504 loan is meant solely for equipment and physical structures. And if you've already been in business, then you only have to pay 10% down for the loan. And most loans through a bank, even if it's not SBA, anything, they want 20% They will only loan you 80% of the value of whatever you're asking for funding for. Whereas if you are looking for like just farm equipment, or you want to build something new on your ag enterprise, it's going to be a physical structure, then you can, through the 504 loan, that could help you with cash flow, because you would only have to show 10% down and not 20% down. So there could be some benefits then with the 504 if you're looking for funding in that area. Also, I just put in a couple of educational opportunities. The SBA has something called Boots to Business, which is a training program for veterans. There's also a women-specific program as well. So I've got hot links there if you're looking for more of a structured program, whether you're already in business and you want to see about taking it to the next level. They kind of have two different tracks of startup or already in business, or if you're on this call and just looking at starting something. This one, the next slide, it's not the SBA program. It's an entrepreneurship boot camp, and I've got the links to it here. I actually have a client that went through this, not in the ag world, but it's everything is covered. So this is an in-person program. So there's, travel and hotel and food. It's actually all covered through a grant. And my client that went through it recently, they have a lot of technical support. So they were actually able to get their logo created, their website created, all of that, and they didn't have to pay anything. So there are some really good structured programs out there to help you kind of take your business to the next level. In addition to in our office, we partner with it's kind of our sister agency. It's called PTAC, so the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, that deals with helping veterans become either a service disabled veteran through the small business, through the SBA, or there's also through the Vets First verification program. You can also get certified through that. So depending on who your end customer is, on if this makes sense or not. But if let's say you are a farmer and you have produce that you are selling and you want to sell to a state entity or like their cafeteria, or you want to sell here locally to the school corporation. There are times where whether it's state funded, if it's federally funded, sometimes just larger corporations. So like if you wanted to sell to Union Hospital's cafeteria, there's many different plausible where this could happen. But a lot of times they're set aside. So they're looking specifically for either veteran-owned business, women-owned business, minority-owned businesses, things of that nature. And most of the times for you to get certified as a veteran-owned business or as a service-disabled veteran-owned business, it doesn't cost you absolutely anything. And if you have bid for a job or to sell your products and your supply is around the same amount, and you can actually service the contract just as much as the next person, and you have a veteran certification and the other people bidding on it they don't have any other certifications, it can really highly increase the chance of you getting that contract, because they want to meet their set-asides and their goals for doing business with those specific subsets of business owners. So again, if that's something that our office can help you with, and bring in PTAC if we need to help you get that certification. It's just about paperwork and knowing where to go and getting everything completed for you to do that. So that's another opportunity that we could help you with within our office. I've got a couple of different resources here. Again, most of what I put in here, which is normally what we do, is connecting you with other organizations and knowing what they have to offer. So these were some that I just want to make sure if you didn't know about that you have. So I talked about, and it's great, we have somebody on here from the USDA, because sometimes in the ag sector, most people don't go for the SBA backed loans. Typically they're going for USDA backed loans or some types of farm service funding. So every time a client comes into us, we look at what they're trying to do, the type of project that they have that they need funding for. And then we go and start soliciting, kind of go to the SBA, go to the USDA and figure out what makes the most sense for that funding project, on if anything would allow them to have more of a write-off or not have to have as much down or have a lower interest rate. So we kind of play that project or, project by project. What I want you to get out of my portion of speaking today is that the Small Business Development Center in your area is absolutely a resource for you, because there's no way that we could cover every possible funding opportunity that's out there for your specific type of business. But what we do is know about them and then partner you with it. Or sometimes somebody comes in and I don't know a funding opportunity, but I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something through Purdue, or maybe there's something through USDA or through Department of Ag, and then we go around and try and find that for you. Because honestly, it does change a lot. So it's great to go to somebody that has those connections. So I've got the link there for the USDA Farm Service Agency, because they have funding programs as well. Also, Indiana Grown, it's not a funding program, but if you haven't connected with Indiana Grown and you are selling any type of produce or anything value added made at your ag enterprise, Indiana Grown is a great resource to connect you with potential retailers. And then the next section here, if you do any kind of exporting, that's something that, the state of Indiana is putting a lot of money behind helping Indiana exporters. They want more Indiana products being shipped out overseas. So there are a ton of programs as far as exporting. Specifically, just in our office alone, we have an exporting consultant. Not just in our office, but our office accesses him, and he is just a wealth of information. And our clients, and just to give you an idea, like, we pay this guy almost like $150 an hour, and we pay it just on your behalf. He's a private independent contractor. I mean, he gets paid a lot of money to be able to give his knowledge. So it just shows you like the wealth of information and the quality of his consulting. And we do that on behalf of our clients. So he can walk you through if you're not already exporting and want to export. But in the International Trade Department, the very last part is, I think, a really great opportunity, the market promotion programs, where they will actually, it's a 50% cost reimbursement to help you, say you have a product and you need it translated, or you need the nutritional facts translated to be able to ship overseas, or you need to rebrand it, or, you need to contact a distributor in that country to work with them to get on the shelves of that country that you want to export in. There's the actual 50% reimbursement. There are other exporting programs as well. Indiana just got the STEP grant, if you heard about that, which is the State Trade Exporting Promotion Program. So if you do already export, or you want to look into exporting, and let's say you wanted to go to a trade show in Germany for the type of product that you have, you can apply for a grant up to $12,000. That'll cover travel expenses. That'll cover your trade show booth for you to go over there. And that's not just ag related, it's any industry, but obviously still ag related qualifies for that. So there are a ton of programs. So if you're not already exporting and you're seeing, and I know that there's a lot of stuff going on with trade or tariffs and everything, I totally understand that. But that's why working with our export consultant, he can help determine what countries we have free trade with, what would make the most sense as far as shipping for your type of product, if it has a shelf life. So if you're starting to see a dip in domestic sales and think that there could be a need for what you have to offer internationally and just don't know how to go about it, we can absolutely be a resource for you to first off figure it out, then help you fund it through all of the different programs that Indiana has to offer in that area. All right, so those were just the few things that I wanted to cover that I felt were general enough. But again, the main thing I want you to take away is that we're here as a resource and would be happy to talk one-on-one about what your specific business needs are and how we can be of assistance to you.
Thank you, Courtney. That was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I was like, I want to give you snaps. That was wonderful.
Thanks.
Did anyone have questions for Courtney? So I have a question.
Okay.
What hurdles and successes have you seen with veterans coming to you and working with you?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like the biggest hurdle, and I hate that this is the case, but you would think that there are more programs available for veterans to start businesses. They're actual cash in hand help and assistance, and I wish that there were. And I think that there's kind of a misnomer, and not just veterans. I mean, it's the same with minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses. There's kind of a lot of information out there that if you fall within one of those the categories of business owners, that there's a lot of grants and free money available for you. And where there are sometimes specific programs and benefits, it's a lot of times just like Travis was saying with his program, it's like very specific steps you have to take to access the funding. And unfortunately, I sometimes see people come in, especially veterans, that kind of have that mentality that there's going to be this like just, oh, great, you know, thank you for your service. Here's X amount of dollars to start your business. And I absolutely wish that that was the case. But when they hear that that isn't the case, unfortunately, and again, I think it's all different demographics of individuals, but when you have that as like a high hope, then when you hear that and see that like it is sometimes red tape and it is a process and it's only eligible for certain types of businesses. Unfortunately, I've seen some veterans not go forward with what could be a really great idea and what could be a really great business because they've just been led to believe that it's just this easy, let's walk in and there's just going to be this like, golden staircase of opportunities and business resources. So that's probably just me personally. What I see is like the biggest hurdle. One of the biggest successes that I have seen is like, and again, I'm not going to pretend to know the difference. So if I say something wrong, I apologize. But I know with Voc Rehab, individuals that are accessing Voc Rehab, I know in Terre Haute anyway, there is one program that will actually, now you lose your benefits, right? Like, so once you take this, that's the kind of the con is once you take it, you lose, like if you're getting monthly benefits. But they give you $30,000 to start your business for the first year, and then you can access $15,000 the second year to start your business. So that's actually a really great program. And we had a client, and he's given us permission, so I can say he did golf trainings, and he wanted to start a mobile operation to go out and teach like kids golf. And we were able to assist him in accessing those Voc Rehab funds to be able to get that up and launched. And I think that's great because being able to even though you lose then your monthly benefits, being able to then have something of your own, something that you care about, a mission, and be able to then replicate that your income and provide your own income that can far exceed what those monthly benefits were, I think is a great opportunity. So that's been probably the biggest veteran access resource that we've seen here locally.
Well, thank you for sharing, Courtney.
Yeah.
Just a wealth of information, and I hope that all the people come flooding through the door.
Yeah. Well, we're not flooding through doors. How much people do?
Call, all the calls. Call. All right, so we're going to move on to our final presenter, Linda Tarr. I met you in the beginning, I think at the beginning of this year at Purdue. And the board as well as you introduced me to a novel program in Indiana and I think surrounding states, but I'm just gonna let you go ahead and share your screen, and go ahead, Linda, whenever you're ready. Oh, wait. Linda, did you unmute yourself? Yes.
Okay, I think you're going to have to tell me again how to share my screen.
At the bottom of the page in the center in green is share. And then you go ahead and click on the PowerPoint presentation. Great.
Okay. Yes, I am part of the Indiana Ag Vets. This is a new program. We are in our first year of presentations for this program. We are collaborating. I work for Hoosier Uplands in Mitchell, Indiana, and we are collaborating with Purdue University, which we had collaborated with them as their subcontractor on the AgriBility grant, and now the roles have switched because we are now the contractor and they are the subcontractor for this grant. This is sponsored through the USDA, and we are very proud to have this. It works two ways. We support the veterans, and then we also support agriculture. We're trying to prepare the military veterans for a successful and meaningful career in agriculture, production, or agribusiness through education, mentoring, and hands-on internships. But we also are addressing the issues of agriculture by recruiting and training veterans for agricultural careers to support. There's over 400,000 veterans in Indiana that call Indiana home, and a lot of those already have ties to agriculture. And so we are just working on that to try to get these veterans well educated and introduced into agriculture to support them. And the long-range goal for the program is to enhance the potential for successful placement of veterans in ag-related careers through intense hands-on learning experiences. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. The program is open to any veterans. They do not have to have a disability. We will address those disabilities to provide service if needed, but they do not have to have any type of a disability. It's not only serving Indiana, but we're also serving the surrounding states of Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Illinois. The program works like this. We have the mentoring and support, which is personal job coaching, peer mentoring, and disability support, and I'll go further into these in a minute. Then there's the agriculture and vocational training, which includes a lot of core trainings and additional education based on personal interests and goals. And then there's the internship experience, where we will actually let them work at the facilities and we will pay them to do that. The core trainings are included with the introduction to the program. Of course, we have been set back by this virus too. So a lot of this has been put on the back burner for right now. We were going to do tours of Indiana farms and agribusinesses as an introduction. And of course, their employment and career guidance, ag safety and health training, and we are actually doing that now through a program called Good Days Work, and it's an online program where they work at different sections, and then there's training with videos and then a quiz at the end. And so we're in the middle of we've already done 10 sections, and we can go ahead and do that infinitely. There's the commercial pesticide applicator core training. We were going to pick up the tab for that. We had training already arranged when all of this hit, and so we are still planning on getting everybody certified into the pesticide applicator training, and then also the OSHA forklift certification. And again, we cover all of the fees for these programs. And we're going to have a lot of supplemental options. If they need their CDLs, we will provide training for their CDLs. If they need quality assurance training, just many, as you can see, different types of trainings. And we are working with each one personally to try to get them trained in whatever training that's needed. When we assign people to these job sites, interns will be assigned as a job coach or mentor, and we'll develop the curriculum and the guidance throughout the program through that. And then a mentor will be assigned to each person that takes the training, and they will actually visit with them on site during their training and find out what's needed and go ahead and let them try to handle any type of things that may come up. The disability services, agribility is, if you don't know what agribility helps farmers to overcome illnesses and injuries and go ahead and be productive on the farm. We do it through a lot of assistive technology to provide, if you need a lift up into your tractor because you're wheelchair bound or things like that. We do all types of assistive technology, and we will work with these ag vets at the host sites to ensure that they have accessibility as needed. And then they're counselors and mentors for service-related challenges such as PTSD will be addressed also. The stipends will be provided to interns at no cost to the hosts. We have 12 locations at Purdue Farms that have agreed to provide sites for our interns. These sites are everything from targeting vegetable growing to beef cattle. There's a lot of different availability as far as subjects to help these farmers get what they're interested in, and then they range from the top of the state to the bottom of the state. And plus we have grain facilities, specialty farms, agribusinesses such as grain handling and machinery dealers, nurseries, turfs, landscape operations, forest production products, and we have just a whole list of possibilities where we can place these mentors or these ag vets. When we did the interview for the people that couldn't be in it, we gave them a whole list of a page of possibilities of interest that they have, and so that we could look at that and put them where they need to be. We get support from the Indiana agribusinesses, commodity organizations, and for the intern placements. And again, there's sites throughout Indiana. These are our partners, or just a few of our partners. We have farm and agribusiness organizations such as Farm Bureau. We have veteran service organizations such as the Indiana chapter of the Farmer Veteran Coalition. Agribility is on board with us, Hoosier Uplands, of course, and Purdue. Extension is on board. The Purdue Ag Centers and the Indiana state government is also involved in this project. If you're interested in becoming an ag vet, the internship is approximately 8 weeks of the actual on-farm internships, plus, we'll do all of the preliminary training, the core trainings besides that before we put them on the farms. But if you're interested, you can either contact myself or Ed Sheldon at Purdue, and we would be glad to help sign you up. We are targeting 15. We've got 16 actually enrolled in our first class that is being currently held. And if you're interested, please let me know, because we'd be glad to try to get you involved. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Linda. That was wonderful. How many groups have you had go through this program already?
This is our first year, so this is our first group.
Oh, good.
It's a learning experience.
But I remember when the Purdue campus and Hoosier Upland, we all, like Veterans Affairs, all got together and discussed this program. What I think blew back, like what stunned the group, was how all-encompassing this was. Like, it was like veterans, here's your toolkit, you can explore anything you want. And that just, I think it got everyone excited. Yeah, so I really appreciate you coming and talking to us about Indiana Ag Vet and all the opportunities and the funding and support behind it. Did anyone have any questions for Linda while we have her here?